Hey boys and girls, it's Miss Lisa. How are you doing? Welcome back to my table of art. Last time we were together, we were talking about a graffiti artist. Do you remember his name? He worked down in the subways on those ads that they had. Remember how they had the ads on the walls in the subways? And when the advertisers no longer wanted to pay for their advertising, they would cover it with black paper. And then this artist would come in and make those special little figures that he did. What was his name? Keith Haring, that's right. He would draw his special figures over the advertising ads once they no longer wanted to pay for them. Well, today we're going to create our own graffiti art, but it's going to be with our name. Now there were still are subway graffiti artists that actually paint on the trains that go by or the subways. And that's a way of tagging themselves. They would give themselves a name. Like, for instance, I'm an art teacher, so maybe instead of calling myself Miss Lisa, I might say The Painter. So everybody would know the painter was there, meaning me. That's my tag name, The Painter. So either you can use a tag name or you could use your own name for this project. But we're going to pretend that we are writing graffiti, which, by the way, is vandalism. Not supposed to do that. It's violating other people's property. But is it art? I don't know. That's up for debate, and we should have a conversation about that maybe later on, okay? But right now, we're going to do our graffiti art on a brick wall. Well, I don't have a brick wall, do you? Nope, not handy. So we're going to create a brick wall. I sent some square sponges into class with you. I have a small one here. In order to create my brick wall, I'm going to need some black and white tempera paint. I have them both on this palette, if you could see. And I'm going to use a piece of black paper to create my bricks. I want you to come on down to my table, and I want you to see how I do this. So come on down, and let's start by creating our brick wall, because we want to make that first so it dries while we're doing our name. So come on down. I'll see you down here. Okay, so it's black paper on my black table, but I think you could still see. I took my sponge, and the first thing I did was I dipped it in water and I squeezed out all the excess water because I want my sponge to be damp. See, I already put some water on my paper. Now I want to dip it in the white and black paint, and I'm not going to worry about too much here or too little there, because the mix of the two paints is going to create somewhat of a texture on my paper. So I'm going to start in one corner, and I'm going to leave an imprint of the square. I'm going to dip again, and the next one is going to be a little bit away from it, because if you ever see bricks, they're separated. They have what's called grout in between. I'm not going to let them touch. I'm going to separate them. And I'm going to continue this all along the top row. If I have some paint on it, I'll just keep going. And I do, a little bit of paint here. Remember to cover your table. You never want to leave your table to be messy. All right, now the trick is here. I'm going into my second row. So when I go into my second row, I'm going to space them differently. I don't want them to touch the top row. And I'm going to space them differently. Watch what I do. Okay, can you tell what I did? This row is all set. The second row is in the middle of where they separated. See how the second row has one full brick right in the middle of the separation, and so on. I'm going to continue that right across my paper. And this is the illusion of a brick wall. I'm going to go down to my bottom row now. Do the same thing. This will be the same as my first row. Spacing them opposite of what the row above it is. Dipping it in the black and white paint. I'm going to get the edge of these two. Look at how I'm doing that. You see how they're spaced, they're not touching, and I'm spacing them different each row, but repeating it every other row. half a brick, full brick. Right? You see how we're doing that? Make sure you press enough that you get the imprint of the brick on your paper. This is coming out really nice. Really, really nice. And I've got a little bit of a last row, so I'm going to fix that up. Half of my brick is here. I'm going to have to clean the table in between because I don't want to get all this paint on my project. Okay. Look how I created my brick wall. I'm going to bring this up because you might be able to appreciate the fact that it's a brick wall a little bit better if I hold it up. There. It has that illusion of a brick wall, the way they're all spaced, not touching each other, bottom or sides, because there's grout in between the bricks. So I'm going to come right back. I want to go put this on the side to dry and clean up the table, and we'll get into the next part of this project. So hang on, I'll be right back, okay? I'm going to pause. Okay guys, I'm back. I cleaned my table up, and we're going to start the next part. We're going to do our tag names or our own names. It's your choice. I think since we were discussing it, I kind of like my tag name being the painter. So I'm going to use that as my tag name. So what I want to do is show you how you're going to create your graffiti name and how an easy step to do it, okay? I want to bring it down to my table, so I got my helping hand. And I want you to know that you could use either crayons, or if you have oil pastels, they're very vibrant and the colors are really going to pop if you use them, okay? So come on down and I'll show you what I'm going to do, okay? I'll see you in a sec. Okay, my table's nice and clean now. So in order to make my name like a bubble letters, I'm just going to write my name first, which is Painter. P-A-I-N-T-E-R. And it pretty much fit the whole page. You could barely see it. I wrote it very light because I'm going to have to go back and erase it. Now, the next thing I want to do is I want to make them bubble letters. So I'm just going to go around them with a line going parallel to what I just wrote in the center and on the outside. So if you look at my P, look what I did. Here's my original line with my letter P. Then I took a line that goes parallel with it and I followed it all around the letter P and also in the center. So I have my first bubble letter. Now of course I'll come back at the end and erase the original letter that I drew. Now I'm going to do the same thing with my A, and I want to keep in mind that I want the P to be the first letter and everything else underneath it. And what I mean is the P is going to overlap the A. You see how I did that? And that'll continue all the way to the end where the A will overlap the I and the I will overlap the N. And I'll show you as I'm going along how each letter, P is overlapping my A right over here. Then I drew my I, and the part of the A is overlapping the I. Then the N, there's a little overlapping of the I onto the end. If you can see how the N is down at the bottom behind the I. And I'm going to continue. I'm up to pain. Now I'm going to write ter, T, and E, and the last letter being the R. And now I'm going to go back. Remember, I have all these excess lines, and I'm going to erase the original lines that I started with. So now I need to find where I hid my eraser. Oh, I found it. And this will make it less confusing for me when I start to make my bubble letters, or color in my bubble letters, I should say. And while we're doing this, our brick wall should be drying. And by the time we're done, it should be ready and we could continue our project to the end. And you're going to love your graffiti art. Trust me. Whoops, let me fix it. And if you see little mistakes along the way, just fix them. Like I just had to do with my letter E. Painter. Yeah, because I started out with a light pencil mark and made it very easy to erase. Okay, whoops. Here we go. So now I have my tag name, which is Painter. So the next thing I want to do is I want to choose 3 colors to create my graffiti art. Alright, so I love this pink color, so I'm definitely going to use this one. And I do like this orange, so I will use the orange, and maybe, I think, is this yellow? I think that will kind of like break those 2 colors up. Okay, so I've got my 3 colors, and what we're going to do is we're going to actually divide our letters into thirds. And I'm going to start with the bottom, and I'm going to outline the bottom with my pastel and color it in. Look how vibrant the pastels are, the oil pastels. You see that? Look how vibrant that is. And see, I only did the bottom of it. And I'm going to do the same with the letters thereafter. It's going to be really beautiful when it's done. And don't worry that they're touching and you can't tell where one starts and one ends, because we're going to outline them. We're going to outline them with a black pastel, which will really divide or separate all the letters from being mushed together. Okay? So don't worry about that. And I'm just doing all the bottoms. Then I'm going to go back and I'm going to do the middle of my letters, and then the top of my letters. And this is really a beautiful color. Love this. This is really pretty. Don't worry if you're not doing a perfect job, because it's not going to really matter. It's all going to blend together and it's going to be beautiful. Okay, so I've got the bottom of my letters all ready. Now you have to imagine the graffiti artists that do these kind of things, they're doing something that they should not be doing. It's actually illegal. So they have to rush, because they're at any minute a cop could come and arrest them for creating graffiti all over private property. So depending on how brave they are, that's how much they do in their art. If they feel they've got a lot of time, they're very detailed with what they do. If they feel rushed, we might just get the outline of their name. You know, it all depends. So right now we figure we have enough time, because nobody's going to come arrest us, because we're not doing this on private property. So we're putting a lot into our name, right? Here we go. We're putting beautiful colors that are blending together beautifully from one to the next. We're taking our time. We're doing it neatly. We don't have to rush. Nobody's going to come and arrest us, right? This is all good stuff. Okay, so look at how I'm going from one color to the next in my name. It's pretty nice, right? Now I'm going to use the yellow at the top. And try not to lean on your work, because you're going to smear it all over your skin if you do. Okay? Okay. Oops. The yellow is going to pick up the orange. I'm going to turn this upside down. It'll be a lot easier for me to work like this at the top. There we go. That looks cool, right? You like my choice of colors? I like them too. That looks good. Painter. My new tag name. I'm the Painter. Can't wait to hear what your tag names are. Ugh. Look at that. Michael, what's your tag name going to be? Mike, Mikey, the man, what's it going to be? Ugh, look at this. Look how beautiful this is coming out. I love it. Pastels are really, really beautiful and strong. Bold and beautiful. Whew, my hand's getting tired because I'm pressing so hard to make sure it comes really bold and beautiful. Ugh, ugh. Whew. Okay, so now look at how gorgeous that looks. Now I'm going to take my black pastel and I'm going to outline everything with the black. So be very careful with your black, okay? I'm going to go right over what I've already have. And this is really going to make these letters pop. See that? P. A. See how they separate the letters? I told you not to worry about that. Paint. A. I. N. Whoops. Broke my pastel. N. T. E. R. All right, so now you would think we're done, but you know what? We're not. The next thing, hold on, let me clean up this for a second. Sorry guys, my camera turned off. Sorry. Anyway, so we were up to this point here. Now, what I'm going to bring it back down to the table because I want to show you what I'm doing. I don't know what happened. Okay, the parts inside, like my little circles here, I want to fill them in with black. Okay, see how I just did that? And I'm going to do that with the A. I want you to do the same. So what other letter? My R. Okay, so we're filling that in. Now, we want to add like highlights to these letters, like they're shining. Give them a little dimension, right? So what I'm doing here is I put a little bit of white tempera paint and I'm going to add just a touch of water to it because I want it to be a little thinner than it is. So look, I only have like a cap full of water here is what I'm working with. Whoops, and I'm going to wet down this tempera paint here. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to have to turn this my way so I can see what I'm doing. I'm going to add some highlights to my bubble letters. That's a little too thin. It's not really working that way. Okay, too thin. A little bit. Hang on guys. It's almost like as if the light is just shining on the curved areas of our bubble letters because they're bubble letters and they curve over. So this is how the highlights are created, by the curling or curving of our, well, this is not, I don't know why it's not taken. This usually does. I know it's wax on my pastels, but the tempera paint should, oh, let me see. You know what it is? I think I was supposed to use, let me just try this again. I'm going to try without adding the water. Well, it worked a little bit better. I just want to get the little bit of the curve of our letters onto our bubble letters. A little bit more here. A little bit more here. I'm not liking this. Isn't coming out the way I wanted it to. not showing up as much as I wanted it to give that three-dimensional feel and look. Trying again. Keep going over it, adding more white without the water, which wasn't too smart because wax and water resist. Are you getting the idea though? You could see a little bit of the curve of the bubble letters. Let's see. A little bit more here. Come on, paint, work for me. Everywhere it will curl. That's where we're adding paint. Curl up there, curl over here, curl down here. Okay. There we go. There we go. Okay, we're going to leave it at that. I'm going to go clean my brush and I will be right back. Okay, so a little bit of the white is shining through. I wish it was a little bit stronger, but it makes sense that it wouldn't. So you see how the white highlights create more of a three-dimensional look. So we should let this dry, but I'm going to cut it so we can finish our project. I'm going to cut around the outside of the black lines. Okay, this makes it easier just to get through it. This looks really nice. I like my choice of colors. What do you think? They look good? Think I chose good colors? Try to make the outline stay. You don't want to cut the outline away. You want that bold outline around your letters. Ooh, I'm loving this. There we go. Now I'm giving you a choice. I know what I'm going to do. In between, oh no, actually I could cut in there. Those areas that are closed in, I'm going to fill with black. Like in between the E here. I think I'm going to fill that with black as well. Like as we did with the R, the A, and the P. There we go. I gotta be careful because it's still wet. Might take forever to dry because I used that tempera washable paint, which is a water base, which really didn't make sense because the oil pastels are, you heard me, oil. Sometimes Miss Lisa doesn't think either clearly. Clearly she doesn't think clearly. If you have acrylic paint, use the acrylic paint. If you have a white pastel, which I do not have, I would say use a white pastel. I should have had a white pastel in there and that would have solved all the problems. Or left a little white circle. Okay, almost done here. And I know you know what's next after we're done with this. We're going to pull out that brick wall and we're going to glue this on to the brick wall as if we had just created graffiti on that wall. And I think that's really cool. You are graffiti artists. You're vandals writing on brick walls, private property. But you know you don't do that. That's not the right thing to do. Okay, look at this graffiti art. Okay, so we got that. Now I'm going to color in. Remember I said I want to color in here instead of cut it out. I'm going to color in between the E. I think that might look cooler. You tell me what you think than if I hollowed it out. I think this worked better. Definitely. Definitely. Now, let's get the brick wall out. Let me throw this away. I'm the painter. Yeah. Now, here's my brick wall. I'm going to put my name in my graffiti name right across the wall. Yes, it sticks out a little bit, and that's okay. I like this. You know what I might even do? I might even add a paint splatter. That would be so cool. And I want you to be creative too. I want you to add things. Don't be afraid to do beyond what I'm showing you. Because as you create art, you get more and more inspired. Just like I just did. Like, painter. I think I'm going to add a big splatter of paint. So I'm going to glue this down. I can't really glue it down great right now because these white spots are still wet. But I want to get it started. Hang on. I'm going to put this here. I want you, when everything's dry, glue it to your brick wall and hang it up to show off. Look how cool that looks, the painter, my tag name. So, I don't know about you, but I enjoyed this. And I enjoyed creating my own tag name, the painter. And I hope you had fun. And listen, if you don't have oil pastels, don't worry. Use crayons. Might not be as vibrant as the oil pastels because they really are rich in color, but you'll still get a similar effect. And love the brick wall too. So, guys, this is your vandal art teacher, Miss Lisa, saying ciao for now from my table of art. Bye, kids. You have a great holiday, great spring break, and we'll meet again after. Bye-bye, guys. Have fun.